my name's Armida. Welcome to my channel. Today in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about my first month postpartum. To really hit it home, yes, I do have my little sleeping baby girl with me right now. Wait, hold up. Yeah, look at her. She's sleeping. This is the only way that this video is going to be recorded is if I'm basically holding her in my arms. Yep, this is motherhood for you. She's actually 7 weeks today. Stuff happens so fast when you have a baby. Week by week, stuff is different. Like, she looks so much different from when she was born. Like, the photos of from like the day she was born and we were discharged from the hospital. Basically, that first week, her face was like really puffy and stuff. So it's like, whoa, stuff is so different. So I have to tell you everything right away. So I'm gonna like divide this video into like 3 sections from like what I expected postpartum to be versus like what actually happened. In the first chunk, I'm gonna tell you stuff that was easier than what was expected or better. And then the second chunk, I'm going to tell you what was basically what I expected, more or less what my idea of it was going to be. And then lastly, we're going to go over stuff that was worse than I was intending for postpartum. So first off, stuff that was like easier, better to handle than expected. For me, number one, probably have to be breastfeeding. I know when I was pregnant, you hear about a lot of moms who really struggle to breastfeed, maybe like having their baby latch onto the breast or producing enough milk for their baby. Me, I really didn't like have that many problems, or I say it in the past tense. I'm still doing stuff. I still have my baby. I'm still feeding her. So yeah, during my pregnancy, I really intended, to breastfeed and pump, which is, still technically breastfeeding with my baby, but I was fully prepared if any problems arose that like I did not have any, I was not going to make enough milk for her, or if she was not going to latch. I was fully prepared for that because I had heard so much about how that was like such a big problem for other moms. And then during my pregnancy, one of my breasts did like leak a couple times of like some milk, and it did like freak me out a little bit. And my doctors at my gynecologist's offices said that it was actually a good sign that I will be able to make milk for her. And I thought they were just being very optimistic, but I ended up like not having that many problems breastfeeding. So I think they were actually pretty right. From the very first day that we tried breastfeeding her in the hospital, she basically latched on pretty fine. If anything, she was just like feeding for a really long time, but I think that's just like as a comfort thing that she just liked, like, babies love sucking, so I think she was just sucking for a really long time, and I let her because we're in the hospital. What else am I gonna do except for bond with my baby? And then since then, she really hasn't had any problems latching. And I can like feel that she gets, all the milk that's in there. And since, having her from the very first week, I have like started pumping. I don't know, I saw places that was like, don't pump until you're like 6 weeks along, until you really have to. I think people just say that like if you have a problem breastfeeding like already, and then you're trying to pump in order to make up for that. I think that's why people say that, but I had no problems breastfeeding her. I just wanted to pump because I didn't want to be the one feeding her every 2 to 3 hours. I guess it's more of a selfish reason. I wanted to, do things and have a bottle and somebody could watch her and feed her, and I didn't have to be the sole person feeding her. That's honestly why. And so I talked to her doctor and like her pediatrician, and I talked to my gynecologist, like I already started pumping, and I want to pump. Is that okay? I saw some stuff somewhere that's like advising you not to. And then they both knew our situation and how like we had a really rocky start that very first week. They knew like how much like pain I was from the complications from her birth. So they were like, yeah, pump. Like if anything, her doctor advised it. She was like, yeah, pump. so that's like the big one. I'm very sorry, other moms. Like I really have no advice on any breastfeeding problems. And another thing was diaper changes. I was just fully prepared for diaper changes to be really stinky, messy, just god awful from the very beginning. But honestly, I didn't know this, but newborn poop has like a very specific smell to it, especially like breastfeeding babies. Their poop smells like buttered popcorn, which is very weird, but it doesn't smell like poop. So I honestly don't really mind it. It's just like the poop is a lot wetter, than normal people poop. So changing her diaper does not seem very bad, at least not now. I mean, she's 7 weeks now, so her digestive system is like a lot more situated. At the very beginning, we did have a lot of problems with her pooping a lot, but I'll talk about that in another section. Another thing that I thought was going to be really awful, but was actually not that bad, was sort of like trying to get her to sleep more hours in the night. I guess it's easy to say now that she's 7 weeks. Her pediatrician really advised to like feed her every 2 to 3 hours during the day. That way at night she's more satisfied and she'll sleep longer hours. And so I thought that was very optimistic of a goal. But honestly, now I can say at like 7 weeks, this very much could change. I've heard this like sleep regression definitely happen in babies, but she is sleeping like for many hours during the night. Like as of right now, this past week, she only gets up once during the night to a diaper change and feed, and then she goes back to sleep, if we can. There's a couple hiccups some nights, but she really is not doing too bad. Stuff can get, I know as like stuff can get worse. She is only like 7 weeks. Sleep regression definitely can be a thing, especially if we decide to stop having her sleep in the room with us. But I thought it would take many months for us to get to this point, and it would be awful, but actually it's been pretty good as of recently for her. Also, another thing that was easier to handle with was postpartum weight loss. For me, I think I ended up gaining the very standard like 35 pounds, I think, in the end during the pregnancy, which I think my doctor, that I was like basically in the window of like, okay, well, it's very healthy to gain, I think, 25 to 35 pounds. And I ended up gaining the 35. I feel like I did start off my pregnancy being at a much smaller weight. So plus I didn't feel like I went overboard with like my pregnancy weight gain. That's just what happens. I feel like a lot of it was like a lot of water retaining, a lot of blood. And so after I gave birth, just giving birth to her alone, I lost 10 pounds. Which is crazy. She ended up being like 7 pounds, 14 ounces. So the other couple pounds was from, the fluid and like basically everything that was in there with her. And then since then, very quickly, the total weight loss ended up being like 25 pounds. I've basically stayed at that since then. I really haven't lost very many pounds after that. I think it probably took me by a month postpartum. I think I lost the 25 pounds. Since then, it's been a couple weeks since then. I basically haven't lost any weight or gained any weight. I think that can go up to breastfeeding, plus like my hunger has definitely decreased. When I was like pregnant with her, I was hungry all the time. Like every few hours I needed to snack constantly. I just was constantly hungry. Not necessarily eating like huge meals, at least I tried not to, because I ended up getting a lot of heartburn. But now that I'm not growing a human and I'm back at like a normal like healthy weight for my height, I'm just like my hunger is pretty much back to where it was beforehand. I thought it would take me a long time, not a super long time. I thought it would take me a couple months to get to the size that I am now. Maybe at the end of the video I can show you my bump update, I guess. I more or less have looked like this whole time, like what my bump looks like. I basically like that very first, like I think the very first 2 weeks, I very much did not look pregnant anymore. I don't know, I guess I just had this idea in my head when I saw like other photos of other moms the week after they gave birth. Their bump was just a lot bigger than mine, while I basically shrank down to like my pre-pregnancy size, and now my bump is just like a lot of skin and just like some flabby skin. That's more or less it. That would be a lot harder to lose the weight. I don't know why that's the case. Maybe I'm just a very rare case, because I really have not tried to diet in any way. Absolutely not. I am trying to eat better, like just like good in general. I'm not like eating fast food and stuff or whatever. I'm not really craving it, period. So I'm just like doing whatever right now. All right, so the second part of this video, stuff that was more or less what I expected. Like, yep, I knew this was gonna happen this way, and I was right. And so first off is baby crying noises. I guess I've always been really sensitive. I don't know if sensitive is the word. Yeah, I guess I've always just been really sensitive to repetitive noises, like alarms, like car alarms, fire alarms, really trigger me, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. I hate like really repetitive noises, and I knew that baby crying noises was going to be like that, and that it would really trigger me, I guess. And I more or less have been correct. Yeah, just her big crying noises do not sound fun, but I guess lucky for me, you gotta go through the checklist. Okay, does she have a full diaper? Is that why she's crying? When was the last time she ate? Basically, just like I know to go through the little checklist, and usually I'm correct. And if all that else fails, she really just wants to be held. Like, that's it. Like what I'm doing right now, like she just most likely will calm her down. And if me holding her does not calm her down, then I guess we're in trouble. Okay. Lucky for me, I've had a lot of help that they can help me take care of, like other people can like take care of her if she does have a big crying fest. Other people can take her in some instances where she was crying a lot and I couldn't get help really easy. I honestly just put in my AirPods, my Apple AirPods, and put the noise canceling feature, because I could still hear her. Like I know that she's crying. Like, she's crying so loud, I know it, that like it's not like, oh, I'm completely drowning her out and ignoring her. No, it's just to dull the sound so that I don't lose my mind. But I've only had to do that like once, and that was a rare instance. I was not with Christian. I couldn't get help from my parents, so it was just like, okay, this is what I gotta do. Another thing that I knew was gonna be a really big problem, it was actually my number one worry, I guess, about having the baby, was like sleep loss and how it affected me. I've always been someone who needed 8 hours of sleep. If I could get 10 hours of sleep, that would be amazing. I love that. I just zonk out, and I can zonk out for a very long time. I really have no problem falling asleep, period. I know a lot of people that they have a lot of trouble just like getting those Z's, and I never had. And so I knew that having a baby, I was not gonna get that sleep. So I was like, gosh dang, that was like my number one worry. And it more or less has been exactly what I thought, because she's having to feed every couple of hours. I know my limits, and I know when to ask for help, and to have someone else like take her if she's not going to sleep and I am at my limit. I know when to ask for help. It's never been like so unbearable that like anyone's in danger, I'm in danger, she's in danger sort of situation. Yeah, it's been pretty bad, but I knew that from the get-go. That was my number one worry, and it's been more or less exactly what I thought it was going to be. Another thing that I thought I would handle is motherhood anxiety, I guess. Like, I don't know, like maybe like the sort of thing that happens in your brain where you just like, you're really anxious for your baby. It's just like a natural thing that we have to want to take care of our babies, us mothers. And I had a feeling that I was going to handle it very well, or it wouldn't get to a really awful point. Some moms, they just like, oh my gosh, like I can only be the only one taking care of my baby. Like, yeah, they don't want anyone holding their baby sort of situation. And I had a feeling that I would have no problem having other people take care of her. Yeah, I was pretty right that like I've had no problem other people holding her and taking care of her. At least in my situation, she really hasn't seen too many people, because it's the holidays right now as I'm filming this. A lot of people are getting sick, and she hasn't, as of recording this, she hasn't gotten a lot of her vaccines just yet. We're almost there. We're just a few more days and she'll get her shots, and she'll be protected against a lot of other viruses, so they'll be pretty good. Can't wait for that. Another thing that I was basically correct in is that in introducing the cats to her, they really don't care. Like I think Christian was really hoping that the cats might be really protective of her, or like want to interact with her, especially when we brought her home and she's not like asleep a lot of the time or whatever. But no, they really don't care about her, and I more or less saw this coming. If you know anything about our kitties, they're not super friendly. I don't know if it's because she's so small and she really doesn't move around all that much, so they like don't even see her as a person yet, or if they know that she's the thing that cries, and so they're like, okay, I don't really care about her because she's screams sometimes. Okay, she's getting a little antsy, but hopefully we can get to this last section, and that is things that were worse than I expected. And I did not have very high expectations for a lot of these things, but here we go. So one thing that was a problem, especially at the beginning, that I was not prepared for was her gassiness, or basically digestive problems. I did not know how gassy babies can be, and like how you have to burp them, and how sensitive their stomachs are, especially at the very beginning. Like I said, like the very first week was very tough on us. All three of us, honestly. We attempted to give her formula a day because I was in like a lot of pain from the complications from the birth. So we tried giving her formula for a day so that I could sleep, and that did not go well. She ended up pooping at least 5 times that night, just overnight. 5 whole times she pooped, and I'm pretty sure that's not normal. Now that we've had her for several more weeks, I do know it's not normal for her to poop that many times in the night. And that was, she was just like so irritable, just crying. Nothing could resolve her, basically. So I was not prepared for how sensitive her little stomach was going to be. I'm like, surely she's meant to digest breast milk, so she'll be able to do it. So stuff's kind of a lot better now. She does not poop a million times in the night, and her poop is changed in like color and texture sometimes, and I think it's just her digestive system just getting used to doing its thing. Because if you really think about it, like, she was inside me not using that digestive system for 9 months, and then she gets out in the world and it has to start doing its thing. Like, woo. Another thing that that's been very annoying, that I did not think was going to be very annoying, is like how many times I have to pump to like maintain my milk supply, and just how annoying it is to constantly have to be pumping. Because I guess maybe I didn't know this, or maybe I should have done some more research on it, but within the first 2 weeks, my milk came in. My milk came in like very early on, but within the first 2 weeks my milk supply just like boom exploded with milk the very first 2 weeks, which was not very fun because like my breasts were engorged and I had to pump for a very long time to like get them down and stuff like that. It was like almost painful, I guess I would say. And so I was just expecting that milk supply to be the same, and I was gonna make that much milk forever. But I think it was just a very rare occurrence that like I think I had just had like a hormone shift, and I just like produced a lot of milk, and then it like died down like a ton. Like we had like a few extra bottles in the fridge, but then when it died down, we basically ran out of all the extra milk that I had pumped that we saved for her. And I was like, what? So I had to pump basically all the time just to get the milk supply that we have now. Actually, behind me right now, if you probably noticed, is my little mini fridge, and on top is our little bottle warmer. And so in there I got all my extra bottles and bags of milk that I've pumped for her. And my goal is just to like keep building up the milk supply and continue pumping and stuff, so that around the holidays I can have a couple alcoholic beverages and we'll have extra bottles, so I don't have to worry about running out of milk if I can't give her the bottles that I've had when I had alcohol. Because if you don't know, the alcohol does go into my breast milk. So if I were to have an alcoholic beverage, then I can't give her the milk for a certain amount of hours after I have the alcoholic beverage. Okay, another thing that was like worse than I expected was the bleeding, like the postpartum bleeding and the blood clots that I had afterwards. I had seen stuff about like, oh yeah, you're gonna have to wear a diaper for a really long time after the bleeding. Oh my gosh, it's so bad. Then I talked to moms, moms that I know, and I was like, oh yeah, like I have to stock up on diapers, don't I? And they were like, yeah, I guess you bleed for a little bit afterwards. I don't think you need that many diapers, Armida. And I was like, yeah, are you sure? Well, guys, the bleeding, it was just a lot for several weeks. I really only stopped bleeding just this past week. Like, I went in for my 6-week checkup at my gynecologist. You go in 6 weeks after you give birth to see your gynecologist so they can like check you and make sure everything, your body's pretty good after giving birth. And so yeah, I did tell my doctor, I was like, okay, well, I really haven't stopped bleeding. I think they kind of expect you to stop the bleeding to stop by the time you go to your 6-week checkup. So yeah, my gynecologist told me, okay, this has happened to other moms, so my case is not super rare, but she was like, if the bleeding does not like completely go away or like mostly go away by next week, then call me, because then she was gonna be concerned. So I was like, okay. And then for several days after the appointment, I was still bleeding, and I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have to call my gynecologist. I'm gonna have to go back in. Something's wrong with me. But no, I'm okay. I'm okay now. Yeah. So I did have to go through a lot of pads. It wasn't like heavy bleeding every single day, but it was like a heavy flow, like a heavy period flow for most of those days. And there was like 1 week where I thought the bleeding had died down, and I was mistaken. But no crampy pain though. I should probably say that. It wasn't like I had a period for 7 weeks. It was just like a lot of blood. I just had to change my pad out a lot, but no like cramps that usually would come with a period. And I usually have really crampy periods. So thank goodness for that. Like, I really haven't been in any pain other than my stitches healing. Oh, obviously the epidural headache that I had after I gave birth, but I talked my whole video about it, and I had a whole video talking about it in my birth story video, and like the craziness that I had with my epidural. So that was that, but that was only for a couple of days because I ended up going back to the hospital to take care of that. But even for the stitches, I really only needed to have a cushion under my bottom maybe for that first week. Maybe not even a full week after I gave birth. I did have to use the special like water bottle thingy when I use the restroom. Oh shoot, I forget what it's called. I'll put a picture of it here, but that basically saved every time I had to go to the bathroom after I gave birth to deal with the stitches and stuff. I guess with help, taking care of a baby is very much doable. I think I'm in a transition phase right now where it's easier to take care of her, but also I am getting less help just in general, because like it asked for help from family for a certain amount of time after I gave birth, and I'm starting to run out of my favors. So it's like, okay, and now that we're getting to like routine with her, I want to like get back to working. Like, guys, I miss painting so much. You have no idea. But I have no idea like what I'm gonna paint, how I'm gonna paint, with her, because of how much she demands of me. So I definitely wanted to give a little catch up on how things have been going. Girl, why are you fighting me? You see that, guys? She wants the binky, but she's fighting me for it. Okay, girl. There you go. Okay, well, she's probably over this this video. So like this video if you found it informative or helpful or in any way, and subscribe for more motherhood baby content. And I'll see you next time. Okay, goodbye.